It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed, on a Friday, and great to have you with us all across America and Canada. Oh, Canada. Lot to do over the next 60 minutes of this fine broadcast. Or if you're listening, the podcast. Fridays are always busy. Tino Pattigno drops in because it's a NASCAR Friday, and we'll chat with him about this weekend's race in Texas, get his thoughts on everything going on around NASCAR. We'll also be joined by our friend Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online. We've had some crossed wires the last few weeks, so we've missed each other. He'll be on the show in his usual spot this week, talk about the top stories of the week in sports and sometimes even a little beyond sports. But we start things out in the NBA. Sam Yarnell is here. And Sam, we had ourselves quite the performances from a couple of NBA geriatrics last night, huh? I mean, my goodness. Stephen Curry goes off for 56. LeBron goes off for 33 on a night where Luka didn't play very well. Both teams win. And the common denominator sort of between the two right now feels like to me that both have been rejuvenated and energized by trades their teams made at the deadline. The Lakers with Luka and the Warriors with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Zion Williamson scored his first career triple-double last night, and it's not even like the fifth most discussed thing in NBA circles. How funny is that? No, I agree, Jason Page. Let's talk about two 40-year-olds because they are more relevant than New Orleans Pelicans. So, the Steph thing. Yeah, cool. It's great.
He's 36.
And I love how everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm going to be the one to poo-poo it.
Why are you going to poo-poo it? He put up 56 against a good Magic team. That's a good Magic team they beat.
It's a good Magic team that is below 500 and struggling to remain in the play-in picture in the East.
Been
and
banged
it took
up.
56 out of Steph to beat them by 6 points. And now all of a sudden, everyone's waking up this morning and saying, oh, watch out. The Warriors might be dark horses in the West. What?
Oh, they are. They're definitely a dark horse in the West. Let me tell you something. The Oklahoma City Thunder do not want to see the Warriors in that opening round. Go look at their offense since they've added Butler. And I get it. Defense wins in the playoffs. Teams clamp down. I would not want... And look, am I saying I'd pick the Warriors in a 7-game series against the Thunder? Maybe if the price was right. But realistically, do I think the Thunder win that series? Yes. Do I think the Thunder want any part of the Warriors in an opening round matchup? Absolutely not.
100% the Thunder. Well, so team by team breakdown specifically, right? The Thunder will dominate the Warriors in the paint. The Thunder will absolutely wreck them down low. The Warriors might get 15 rebounds as a team the entire series. But here's the thing, right? The Warriors... People are so quick to forget that this is a historically bad year for Steph Curry in terms of his career. Like the worst three-point shooting percentage of his career. I think it's the lowest points he scored per game since his like 4th year in the league. Like really, really bad for Steph Curry this year. They get Jimmy Butler, an all-NBA talent. The offense is bound to change. So yeah, it's going to take 10 games for the NBA to adjust to the new Warriors offense. But the second they do, it's going to go back to being Steph Curry is in full force regression mode, and the sky is falling for the Warriors. Jason Page, I would give, and this, I know Robert Littal is the one who talks about current events, but let me just go off for a second. That asteroid they've been talking about coming at Earth, I think it's got a better chance of hitting than the Warriors do of winning the championship this year.
Winning a championship is one thing. Do I think they can
shock the finals?
Do I think they could shock the T-Wolves, the Thunder in the opening round? 20. By the way, Warriors, if you're curious, 22-1 on FanDuel right now to go to the NBA Finals. Just thought I'd put that out there. I'll just leave that there for you. Do with it what you may. To win the West, they have the 4th best odds to win the West right now. They've hung an 11-1 number on the Warriors to win the West. Thoughts? No?
Okay. Sell.
Buy. Not selling on the Lakers. They get 33 and I think 17 from LeBron last night. By the way, did you know LeBron is shooting almost 40%, 39% from three this year? He's shooting 30. He's shooting almost. This is a guy that could not shoot the three when he got into the league. Was not a good perimeter shooter for a number of years. People were like, stop shooting the three, just drive to the basket. Lakers win last night. Yeah, look, I as much as I want to talk about LeBron and what he did here on a night where Luka didn't shoot it very well, to me, the story is Anthony Edwards, whose maturity continues to be an issue. Picks up his 16th technical last night. He's going to miss the next game for the team. Throws the ball into the stands. I think he's regressed this year, no matter what others might want to try and tell you. I think he misses Karl Anthony Towns on that team. I think that is certainly something that has hurt him. And you can blame the organization for that. They took that piece away and replaced it with Julius Randle, and we've all seen how that's worked out so far. But the story is much to me about the Lakers, who just continue to win basketball games and continue to dare teams to just shoot the three. The Lakers have basically just said, we are going to seed the three. You're not going to beat us in the paint. We're going to seed the three. And if you make a bunch of them, you're going to beat us. And if you don't, we're going to beat you. That's sort of the Lakers mentality right now, Sam.
So a couple of things on the Ant Edwards thing. This is going to have to be a story for another day, because I don't know if you saw what he said after the game too, about not wanting to be one of the faces of the NBA. It was crazier about how Victor, the NBA has Victor for that when asked what it was like to be a face of the NBA.
Yeah.
Just a tough time for Ant Edwards, clearly going through something. Yeah. But on the Lakers side, it's the opposite of the Warriors, right? And here's why. Luka is still very obviously ramping up and a shell of himself from that leg injury, from that calf injury. That his shooting numbers, his analytics have been horrible shooting the basketball since he's come back from this leg injury. But even with all of that going on, look at how much better he has made LeBron James, because now LeBron James doesn't have to worry about handling the ball as much.
Playing defense, too. Playing defense at a high level.
The Lakers are so much more of a viable contender in the West than the Warriors.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. They're 18-1, by the way, to win the whole thing, if you're wondering about the Lakers. Just putting that out there for you as well. 8-1 to make the finals. We're coming back. Some NFL to get to. Jon Gruden, Travis Kelce, and Myles Garrett. We'll talk about it all next. SportsWrap continues on a Friday. Coming up in 10 minutes, Robert Littal, Black Sports Online founder. Talk about some of the top stories of the week with him, including Anthony Edwards. Don't want to be the face of the NBA. And LeBron James commenting on Anthony Edwards saying that. We'll get to all of it coming up in a few minutes with Robert Littal from Black Sports Online. Some NFL stuff to get to, Sam Yarnell, and a few items that I want to run through rapid fire here, starting with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers making the decision yesterday to reinstate Jon Gruden into their Ring of Honor. And this is this continued sort of trajectory that we see, upwards or downwards, you can decide, about how the NFL is slowly slow walking this walk back into the league for Jon Gruden. It started with Andy Reid last preseason, having him on the field, having him out there during training camp. Then it was, conversations throughout the season and him going over to Barstool. And then it was the conversations in the offseason. Could Jon Gruden be a head coaching candidate? And now it's Jon Gruden getting reinstated back into the Ring of Honor by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm sorry, man, this guy does not belong on an NFL sideline as the leader of men, given everything we know, what is actually going on up here in Chucky's head. I got major problems with this, that the NFL, and look, in the NFL, you could just kind of ride it out, wait things out long enough, And then eventually, if you bide your time, if you're Jon Gruden and just sort of sit things out for a while, somebody's going to welcome you back into the league.
So I have two takeaways from this story. The first one is whoever Jon Gruden's PR team is, he's not paying them enough money. They deserve a raise, a bonus, and maybe even some more money than that after what they've done over the course of, truly a masterclass over the course of the last, 8 months now. Remarkable stuff in terms of a marketing and public relations perspective and rebuilding that man's image. I honestly, Jason Page, took this specific act, and also I think generally whenever this kind of thing comes up, I talk about it with this guy. Anything that the NFL does towards Jon Gruden, to me, is not them reinstating him for whatever he's done, and I'll get to that in a second, but it's more them turning their noses up at Dan Snyder again from all the way across the pond, because I go back to this every time. If you'll remember when this whole thing broke, we didn't know it at the time, but by the time Dan Snyder was ousted as the owner of the Washington Commanders, we found out he was the one who leaked all of the Jon Gruden emails. He was the one behind defaming Jon Gruden in NFL circles. Not saying that it wasn't deserved, but nevertheless, to me, this is the NFL saying, hey, Dan Snyder, we read that article about you, about how you're real happy or real sad that your team's doing real well. So we're just going to make you a little more sad. And that guy that you tried to bury, we're going to bring him back. The precedent thing, right? Like, I think that as much as we can sit here and agree or disagree with the move, the NFL is going to continue to reinstate, rehire, find places for people who have done wrong to them or by them throughout their career. Brian Flores was a head coaching candidate this year, Jason Page. Brian Flores still has lawsuits out against the NFL.
Go look at the comments Jon Gruden made about DeMaurice Smith, the then head of the NFLPA. Just go look at those comments, and you tell me how this man should be allowed not just back into the Ring of Honor, but on an NFL sideline. By the way, quote from Jon Gruden, "I'm not racist, but I used a really racist phrase." It's about all you need to know, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about our friends over at Credit Associates for a moment. What a game last night for Stephen Curry. Despite what Sam Yarnell says, 56 points for Curry. He blocked the Magic from trying to get a victory in Orlando last night. And just like Steph, if your credit card debt has been blocking your financial freedom, it's time to break through with Credit Associates. They can help you slam down your debt for up to half of what you owe. Do you owe more than $10,000 in credit card debt? It's the kind of move you want to see in your financial game. Don't wait another quarter. Call 1-800-747-5362 today. See how much you can save. Credit Associates. When it's time to make a play, they got your back, just like Stephen Curry had the Warriors back last night. To see if you qualify for debt relief, call 1-800-747-5362 or visit creditassociates.com or just scan that QR code.
Using Delpit.
All right, there is a update in the Myles Garrett story, Sam, and let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now as it relates to the Browns' stud defensive player. Cleveland.com reporting that it's more of the same. He wants out. They're trying to talk about a contract extension, and he doesn't even want to have that conversation, which gives you a sense for sort of where these two sides are right now. Cleveland.com had the story out there that essentially Garrett and his reps have slammed the door. That's the quote that was used in terms of negotiations. Browns met with Garrett's reps there, and it just seems like these two sides are at an impasse. Garrett's tired of losing. He wants to go someplace where he still has a chance to win while he's still at the top of his game. And the Browns are holding firm on this idea, Sam, that no matter what, and their general manager Andrew Berry has said, they're not going to trade Myles Garrett.
Absolutely no chance.
They're trending towards being dissolved upon as a franchise between the Deshaun Watson move and now this, mixed in with a bunch of things in between. If they don't let him out, it would be horrible, and obviously the NFLPA will get involved. I feel bad for Myles Garrett. man. He's a guy who's just always wanted to win. And like by no doing of his own, he's never been fortunate enough to be put in a position to win, right? Like think about his time at A&M. He was there right after they were really freaking good.
Yeah, I agree. The news.
But once again, up there in.
The news broken yesterday by Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee Show. Interesting that he got the scoop. Impressive. Say what you want about Pat McAfee, and everybody on this show knows how I feel about his program. But Pat McAfee breaking the news yesterday. Travis Kelce will be back next season. By the way, if you watched this show and this person in particular, you wouldn't be shocked that he's coming back. We knew he was coming back. We thought he would come back after cooler heads prevailed, after the emotion of everything sort of wore off. We've got Robert Littal, Black Sports Online founder. He's going to come and hang out with us. Talk about a whole bunch of topics, including the NBA. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to do. Good to have you with us on this Friday edition of the show. I have promised a Robert Littal, and for the first time in a while, I've delivered. There he is. There he is. After some cross signals and faulty wiring, Robert Littal rejoins the show after a few weeks away. He wasn't like on quiet suspension. It wasn't like some soft ban or anything that.
I've been good. I'm not in any trouble, okay?
And Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, hangs out with us on Fridays on the show. Happy to have him back on the program. I want to run through some NBA stuff with you and sort of get your perspective on some things we talked about this week. And really what we were talking about even earlier in the show today, and that is the performances we saw from a 36-year-old Stephen Curry and a 40-year-old LeBron James last night. And everybody keeps talking about, what are we going to do when LeBron James and Stephen Curry are no longer around? Well, guess what? We still have them right now, and we should enjoy them. Because, I mean, the 56 from Steph last night on the road in Orlando against, a tough Magic team, and then what LeBron did last night, I mean, you just can't say enough, Robert, about these two.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I feel like we've been watching them, our entire lifetime. Yeah. Specifically, with LeBron. I was in college when I first heard about LeBron in high school, and and so you take these journeys with these athletes. I think when you're in a certain era, like the era that we were in, we take this journey with LeBron, with Steph, Tom Brady. We feel like we were there, every step of the way. We grew along, with them, and so seeing them now. It's like a proud, uncle sitting back in his chair. It's like, these are the guys, this was our era, and they're still out here doing it.
They are. A lot of people are starting to look at this Warriors team and saying, you know what? They might be able to do something out there in the West. The odds makers certainly think so. I think they have the third or fourth best odds in the West, fourth best odds to come out of the West. This is for a team that, was basically a play-in team, it felt like, a week and a half ago. Do you give them a puncher's chance?
Well, that's playoff Jimmy. I mean, that is a real, thing. If that translate over to the West, Steph can't be trying to score 56 points. People kind of forget that one of the issues with these, older superstars, with Kevin Durant, LeBron, Steph, is they can't do that on a night-to-night basis. You can't expect them to do that throughout a play. They need help. And so if Jimmy Butler, who's not a spring chicken himself, could balance that out, just like, Steph used to have Clay, and he used to have KD. LeBron had D Wade, he had Kyrie. You need someone and I asked Luka, if they can balance that out, I think the West, I think Oklahoma City is underrated. I think they should be heavy favorites, not like just, I just think they don't have the experience and they don't have the carte blanche, so to speak, for the odds makers, but I still think they're the strong favorite to come out of the West.
Yeah, a lot of people question their perimeter shooting. and look, until you've done it, you haven't done it. And I think there are a lot of people that are taking sort of a prove-it approach with that team. That said, let's talk about the Lakers, who are another team a lot of people are looking at and saying, hey, Everybody was worried, no big in the middle. They get rid of Anthony Davis. They're just basically daring teams to beat them from 3 every night. The T-Wolves obviously couldn't do it last night, and the Lakers get another win behind LeBron and his 33, and I think he had like 17 rebounds, had a huge night on a night where Luka didn't shoot it all that well. It was more what LeBron talked about after the game, though, that I want to get your thoughts on, Robert. And this was post-game after Anthony Edwards said, I don't really want to be the face of the league. Let Wemby, Wemby could be the face of the league. LeBron James commenting on that very topic. Watch.
I don't know. Why do you want to be the face of the league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody? That responsibility. It's just weird. It's weird energy from the people that I don't know, but Channing, he said it. He said it perfectly. Couldn't have said it no better. But Ant said he don't want it. Obviously I didn't ask for it, but I knew there was a responsibility for me, not only to my family, my friends, my community, and whoever that was going to follow my journey throughout my career. Not only in Ohio when I started there, but all over America and all over the world when I traveled all over the world. So. I've always taken that seriously and understood from the beginning what being a professional was all about and being a role model was all about. So try to hold that with the utmost respect and honor. But I feel I understand over America.
What do you make of his comments, Robert?
I disagree in a sense. I mean, for every, Doug Gottlieb or Skip Bayless, there's a Shannon Sharp or Nick Wright that loves LeBron. I think it's unfair to paint the media saying that, they do what he said they do on athletes. I think that's more of a social media, type of thing. And, being the face of the league has perks. As he's a billionaire, because he's the face of the league. I think someone like Anthony Edwards, and I don't know Anthony Edwards personally, seems like a nice guy, but is involved in some things, off the court that maybe aren't the greatest things for a league to put as a face of a franchise or something of that nature. But here's the thing. Nobody gets to choose who the face of the league is. It's organic. Caitlin Clark didn't say, hey, make me the face of the league instead of Sabrina, instead of Paige, instead of Diana Taurasi. The people, it's organic. So when the people decide who they want to be the next LeBron, the next Steph, that's when it's going to happen. You can't just tell us who it's going to be.
You don't think in some regard the media plays favorites with who they want to be the face of the league, though, too?
Yeah, in a sense, but it's a little bit like wrestling to me. Vince McMahon could say, hey, we want this guy to be the champion, right? The media can say, we want this guy to be the face of the league.
WrestleMania last year, everything that led up to WrestleMania.
Doesn't take it doesn't work. So it has to take. So I think the media can sway opinions on how you think about certain players if they want to. But I think eventually the cream, if you win, whoever wins is the face of the league, more or less. If it's Michael, if it's Magic, if it's Bird, if it's LeBron, if it's Steph, what do they all have in common? They have 4 or 5 championships. And I think whoever is the next person to do that will end up being the face of the league.
Robert Littal is the founder of Black Sports Online. He hangs out with us every Friday on the show. We got one more segment to talk about some stuff with him. We will do that as we continue on this Friday edition.
You're the face of media.
I am the face of nothing. We're coming back. Coming up in 10 minutes, we talk NASCAR. Tino Pattigno drops by from SiriusXM Radio, their NASCAR radio channel, also our NASCAR betting insider. What was he like in Texas this week? Everything's bigger in Texas, Robert Littal. That's what they tell me.
So they say.
That's what they tell me. Everything's bigger in Texas. NASCAR's off to a rip-roaring start. this season, both with the Daytona 500 and last week's race in Atlanta. And I'm not just saying this because I have you on the show. I'm rooting for Bubba Wallace to win a race. Like, man, can we get a win for Bubba Wallace? The guy's just, he's in the mix. He's in contention every week. I want to see Bubba Wallace and that Michael Jordan team win a race.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, it would be really cool. Let me get your thoughts on a couple of things. The scouting combine is this week. As notable for the guys taking part in it or not taking part in it as it is the guys that are taking part in it, Robert. And I was talking about this with Jason Cole, NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame selector, earlier in the week. You know, this idea that there's this devaluing of the combine, that some of these guys just, hey, well, I'm going to do my own private workout. You come see me. You've got my body of work. There's enough, video out there, and you come see me. And in a season and in a draft where it feels so wide open for the top overall pick, I think it would behoove these guys to get out there at the combine and get that extra look in for scouts.
Yeah, see, I disagree. Actually, it seems like it's more exciting for the reporters at the combine. So I hear at the Starbucks is where it really's going down. But I tell you why I disagree in the sense that if you know that you're going to be, say, in that top 10, that top 15, you don't want to do anything at the combine that's going to, hurt your stock. You're more likely to hurt your stock than help your stock when you're already going in the top 15. Now, if you're a second-round pick, third-round pick, fourth-round pick, and you're trying to move up and you're trying to impress, you go out there and you do those drills like your life, depended on it. But I do think the combine is now more a television event and it's also, I think, an event where now the GMs and the owners more to just take a look at the players medically and get the interviews than the on the field type stuff, because they found out that Abdul Carter had a stress fracture in his foot. That's something that you wouldn't find out if not for the combine.
But if you don't crush it at the combine, then you could always do the private workout. Whereas, and then the opposite is true. If you kill it at the combine, it's just gravy in terms of. To me, it's just an extra look. It's that extra opportunity to sort of prove yourself. And look, I think Jason Cole kind of agrees with what you said. He said something very similar to what you said, how it's more of a made-for-TV event. It's more about getting fans in there and all of that stuff. Who do you think will be – I'm not going to ask you who the top pick will be. Who do you think will be the top player to come out of this top part of the first round of the draft?
If Abdul Carter is healthy, he seems as a can't miss to me. Like that, a guy that's going to get you 10 sacks, every year for the next, 10 years, just very solid. But Cam Ward, the more I watch and the more of the modern day NFL, if he gets to that right place, it's always about getting to the right place.
True.
He has literally everything that you've seen in a Jalen Daniels, in a Bo Nix. He has, Josh Allen, these guys. He has all of those little intangibles in the type of body and the type of arm strength and the type of legs, CJ Stroud type. He has all of these little things that if you're like, hey, this guy fits into 2025 version of what we're looking for in a quarterback. And I think he can have a Jaden Daniels type effect, a CJ Stroud type effect, if he goes to the right franchise.
And real quick, what the Jordan Schultz, Ian Rappaport thing, you kind of referenced it, talking about Starbucks. Like, what is going on when we've got people in the media? There's enough to eat for everybody. Like, I mean, my God, Ian takes a jab at Jordan. Jordan goes and approaches him inside of Starbucks. And I'm more friends with Jordan than Ian. I've talked to Jordan a bunch of times over the years, and I worked with him back at NBC Sports. So in full disclosure, I say that. But what is going on here?
I respect Jordan because sometimes people go to social media and be like, oh, you did this and did that.
Yeah.
When the person is actually there, they went to his face and told him how he felt. And I felt Rap Sheet, I call him Rap Sheet, snitching to NFL security and whoever else. I thought that was wrong. If you and me have a problem and we talk it out in front of the Starbucks, I mean, nobody got their leg broken or anything.
No.
Nobody's bleeding or nothing. I'm not going to call security. I'm not going to run to NFL and try to, get this man's job fired.
Yeah.
I feel like as a society, we've gotten very, very weak in that type of situation. If two men
let them
have
talk
a
it out.
disagreement,
Yeah.
you talk it out. You say what you got to say. You get off your chest. You shake hands and you move on.
Last thing before I let you go, I got a minute. Diana Taurasi announced her retirement this week. You're one of these guys that actually watched the WNBA before Caitlin Clark got there and can appreciate what Diana Taurasi has meant to this league. A quick word before we say goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, she's like the LeBron of the WNBA. I mean, 20 years, she, I won't say she single-handedly kept it afloat, but she was one of the ones where if you talked about the WNBA, you can bring her out there and people would know who she was. They respected her game, and she was one of the best to ever do it. There's no Caitlin Clarks if there's not, Diana Taurasi. I think that's very fair to say.
Yeah, you watch her game. Man, and I got to watch her at UConn before
she
she ever
young.
got there. Yeah.
She was a unit for a guard,
Yeah. And her competitive spirit, her competitive fight. Kobe is the most apt description. I mean, she'll rip your heart out and do the Indiana Jones and just eat it in front of you. Like she don't care, man.
That trash talking about Draymond was one of the funniest things I read.
We were talking, yes. We had that story earlier in the week. Robert Littal, good to see you again, my friend.
All right, see you next week. I promise my alarm is set.
All right, we're coming back with Tino. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes, but let's talk some NASCAR, because if it's a Friday on SportsWrap, it's a NASCAR Friday. Let's go. Tino Pattigno is here. Our NASCAR aficionado, betting insider. You can catch him on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio as well. Our new wraparound segments on Friday and Monday. We love Tino so much. We invite him on to do both days. Just before we get into this weekend's race in Texas, I was going through some things and doing my research for the segment. A lot of people may not know this, but through 2 weeks, Bubba Wallace is tied with Joey Logano for second right now in the Cup Series with 28 stage points through the first couple of races. A lot of people may not realize that.
Yeah, I think that's huge for Bubba Wallace because of the start they were able to capitalize on. Some drivers may not like it because, it starts their seasons off with, if you're not, right, if you're on the opposite end of that Bubba Wallace spectrum and you're crashing out and you're not getting those stage points, it's going to be hard to get out of that hole. So for Bubba, great start, exactly what they needed. I think he thrives with less pressure, or at least feeling that way. So for him to have those stage points too, because he's a great super speedway racer, we've known this for a long time. So for him to put himself in a great spot as the season continues on is good.
And that brings up the bad news. He has not done well at this race. Is not finished 3 of the 4 races, if I'm not mistaken. He hasn't finished in 3 of the 4 races at this track, which is a different track, by the way, than it has been. For people that don't know, go and look at the reconfiguration. They took away this huge long straightaway that was on this track, but he hasn't done well at this track. Why doesn't it set up well for him?
Well, it doesn't set up well for him because he's just not the best road course racer, and I feel like this track really needs to be raced and won by the best of the best in terms of those road course racers. They excel, is what I'm trying to say, at this type of racetrack. The high intensity braking zones, and even with the new track layout, right, like you mentioned, you're taking away 75% of that long straight, closing it off so where we see less speed, more high intensity braking zones, and increasing passing opportunities. So if you are a strong road course driver, this track benefits you, and if you're not, you really can't sort of just fake your way through the field and try to make something happen. If you're Bubba Wallace for this instance that we're talking about, or someone else, hey, Ryan Blaney is another driver that's great everywhere else, but on road courses, it takes a little bit of extra power for him to get a strong finish. I would just say, just continue to log laps, figure out during the race, and they do have 2 practice sessions as well this weekend, which is nice. Just try to sort of increase your speed the best you can throughout the race.
Before we get into this week's race some more, Christopher Bell, obviously the win last week. We talked about it a bit on Mondays. You've had a chance to sort of marinate in it throughout the week. What's been the reaction throughout the sport?
Well, everyone's thinking this is going to be the year for Christopher Bell to continue his rise to fame because he is the driver right now that can contend with Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's the best driver in the world, no doubt about that, but Kyle Larson's been on the record saying he doesn't like super speedways. Well, after Christopher Bell wins that race, gets out of the car, he says, I love super speedways. Those two, it's a budding rivalry. When we look at the dirt track races that those two run in, it's Christopher Bell versus Kyle Larson. Those two are the best of the best there. And now he's taking those talents and that confidence into the Cup Series and saying, hey, yeah, I want it to be a rivalry. He acknowledges that. And I think that's something that's big because if you're comparing yourself to the best in the world, why not you? Why can't you go out and beat him just like he did there? I'd look for Christopher Bell to continue to have a great season this year. 4 to 5 wins at least.
Shane Van Gisbergen is your favorite this week, and he's a full-time ride on in NASCAR this year. You know, you're going to see him out there every week, and we've seen him in these first couple of races of the season. Obviously the favorite because of his work on road courses. This track obviously sets up really well for him.
It does. And I think any road course, you can feel that way about SVG. I don't love the price. Plus 550 is not something where, you know, with his limited experience in this Cup Series field and with that 88 car that we really haven't seen much of yet, right? Because it is only the third race of the season. We don't know what raw speed drivers have right off the track because we haven't seen any other race besides the Super Speedway. But it is SVG. Every time we've gone to a road course, he continues to show out. Finished second, almost won at Watkins Glen, the last road course race we had of the season last year. But look at his teammate, Connor Zilic at plus 800.
Yeah.
This is the one everyone's talking about. The 18-year-old makes his first start in the Cup Series this weekend, and his number is what? The reason I believe this is, and I've talked to other people, I would have priced him at 20 to 1 to win this race. I think that's fair based on his talent, based on his expertise. He's a great driver. He's won in so many different aspects of motorsports, but you put him ahead of William Byron, put him ahead of Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, right? The list goes on and on. I think the reason is the sports books understand the fame and the driver behind the name. Also, he's got a lot of talent, but it's more so the fact that the people want to have the souvenir of his first win ticket if it does come this weekend at COTA.
All right, we got a minute left. Who do you like this weekend? Give me some of the bets you like.
Well, there's some drivers out there with high value. Ross Chastain is one of them. He's 15 to 1 to win this race. 4 straight top 7 finishes at this track. He won here in 2022. Another thing too is when we look at drivers that have excelled on road courses, Ty Gibbs is one of them. He finished 3rd in this race last year, led a lap. And here's a random stat for you: 4 of the last 5 first-time winners in the Cup Series have come on road courses. Can Ty Gibbs get that first career win? 18 to 1, I think is a good price because when we look at that number and Chastain and another guy like AJ Allmendinger at 16 to 1, these are all drivers that excel on road courses, and after in practice and qualifying, we can see that closing line value. Chris Buescher would be a top 10 driver guy I would keep an eye on in that market. He has an average finish, which leads all drivers in the next-gen era of these road courses at an 8.82. So those are some drivers I have in mind in this one.
Real quick, who wins?
Ross Chastain.
All right, Ross Chastain. Tino Pattigno, always appreciated, my friend. Enjoy the race. We'll talk to you Monday.
Let's turn left and right this weekend.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for another week. Don't forget, SportsWrap Weekends, available on many of these same affiliates. If not, check your local listings for time and schedule. It's our 30-minute wrap-up show of everything we talked about. Check that out. Sports Wrap with Jason Page, the podcast. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, where you can watch the show and listen to the show. Now we are putting the show up on YouTube every day, both in podcast form as well as the actual television show. So you can go and check that out as well. All your favorite podcasting providers have the show. Listen to us on your way to work or on your way home or while you're in bed or whatever it is you do. Go and check that out. Without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. Presented by our friends at Credit Associates. Are you $10,000 or more in credit card debt right now? In over your head trying to make monthly payments? Well, it's Half-uary. And there's a powerful debt relief program the credit card companies don't want you to know about. Overcome the debt trap of multiple credit cards, high payments, high interest rates. They keep you in debt for decades with one affordable low monthly payment. Credit Associates Debt Relief Program can help you resolve your debt in as little as 24 to 36 months. Is there anything better than that? That'll save you thousands of dollars and decades in debt. Find out how much you could save right now. Call 1-800-747-5362. That's 1-800-747-5362 with our friends at Credit Associates, or just scan the QR code below. Sam Yarnell, I think for the 15th time in PGA Tour history, somebody has shot a sub-60 round. This one belongs to Jake Knapp, who shot a 59 yesterday at PGA National. This week's stop on the PGA Tour. 12 under, 12 birdies, no bogeys, all pars. I mean, as clean a scorecard as you're going to get, Sam Yarnell.
Breaking 60, any golfer's dream. Yeah, Jason, it truly is remarkable. The Florida swing in full effect with these scores that you're seeing out there. I mean, we got like 7 under T10 right now, stuff like that.
Well, this is usually a hard course, but it got some rain the night before, which played a factor. And speaking of that, because there's always got to be a Debbie Downer in every group. Oh, we've all been there, right? Wah, wah, wah. Billy Horschel, who's a guy that's played around Florida for most of his life, taking a dump on Jake Knapp's 59.
Listen, you got to tip your hat to him. He shot 12 on the par, 59 on PGA National, which no one ever thought. But, I know we had a discussion earlier this week, and I've probably, changed my tune a little bit. I think the overseed has, the rough's not long enough. It's not penal enough when you miss the fairway. I really wish we would just play this as a straight Bermuda. From tee to green, everything would be straight Bermuda. I know it doesn't look pretty on TV, and I know that's one of the reasons why it's overseeded. But it is unfortunate because for me, growing up in Florida, the one advantage I have is being born and raised on Bermuda grass and understanding the intricacies of playing on Bermuda grass and chipping off it and judging the lie out of it. And I don't have that.
I've had enough of Billy Horschel. I mean, really, dude. This is the guy, by the way, who chases alligators off the course with his golf club. I mean, this is that dope. So we already know that the level of intelligence here. I mean, the guy. If it was so easy to shoot 59, everybody would do it. It's been done 15 times. I mean, it is one of the rarest feats. If you really think about it, Sam, it's one of the rarest feats in all of sports.
Yeah, 100%. Jake Knapp also drove the ball. Here's why what Billy Horschel's saying is wrong, right? Jake Knapp had the best driving accuracy of anybody in the field yesterday, right? Yeah. Like that. Objectively, sorry, Billy, I know that you're a professional.
Yeah.
I think in golf, a lot of people realize who have played golf for a long time, you don't have to know golf all that well to become a professional. Yeah. You just have to kind of have the right mechanics and the right people behind you. Billy Horschel may be exposing himself as one of those here because you don't drive the ball with 85.7% accuracy and then have your round discredited by the overseeding of the rough. Just honestly, by somebody who is a professional baller, you don't expect that sort of lack of ball knowledge. Billy Horschel, you're officially on my you don't know ball list.
And by the way, hey, Billy Horschel, shoot better than 5 under then. If it was so easy yesterday, shoot better than 5 under, and your knowledge of the Bermuda ground. Give me a break. Another great finish in college basketball last night. Let's finish with that.
Finds Wolf. To Burnett for the win. Finds Wolf.
I love it. It's great stuff, man. It's that time of the year, Sam Yarnell. This is what we live for.
Right. A lot of people call this like the best 2-month stretch in the sports calendar. I can't personally say that I believe in that because you're forcing me to watch weeknight NBA and college basketball.
Oh, come on. Curry scored 56. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. It's
We
like
get
the
what
whole
come
show.
on.
The whole show, folks. All he's done is talk about this Curry 56. Curry 56. Curry 56. Kobe dropped 60 not that long ago. What are we talking about when he was Steph Curry's age? What are we doing here? Steph Curry, whatever. You're good. You're not great anymore. And your team's going to get figured out real soon.
Gonna wrap it up for us. Boy, you are cantankerous today. You are
I made the
cantankerous.
Warriors.
We gotta go. Thanks to Sam, Tino, Robert Littal. We'll see you next week.